Good morning, everyone, and welcome to The Difference and Real Producers Live with Jordan Espeseth. I am Lendon Wilson, the creator of The Difference. The Difference is a media program where we bring together small businesses, local businesses, entrepreneurs, and help them gain exposure in their community through shows, advertising, marketing, different things like that. So having said that, I see Jordan still trying to get this Facebook Live, but I'm going to go ahead and bring him in anyway. What's up, man?
I know we're gonna have to time this so like I get 2 minutes to get this posted, and then like you bring me in. But
I can
that's
do
okay.
that. I can do that. From now on, I'm making note. How's it going?
Hey, it's going good, man. I've been real busy and excited about some things coming up in the real near future, and about this next guest we have on as well. So always a good day. Be Thursdays at 11 o'clock. You know.
Yeah. Well, tell everybody a little bit about Real Producers that may not know, and then also I know you got an event coming up first of next month. Is that right?
4 weeks from today, we just sent out the emails and text. We're gonna make posts about today, so we're just starting the promotion of it today. But yeah, we have our next in-person event coming up November 12th from 5 to 7, and so. Check your emails, check your texts. If you're a top producing agent, a business partner of ours, we'll be making posts on social media as well, but we're super excited about that. It's going to be at the Truck Yard in the Colony, which is just a super cool venue. And we're super pumped. So we're excited to, it's been since March since we've got together in person, the top 500 producing agents in North DFW and our business partners. And so we're just, man, so excited to get everybody back together to connect face to face, and it might be a little bit different. I'm sure there'll be a lot of masks being worn and all that fun stuff. But man, I think people are just ready to get back together.
Yeah, may have to have a prize for the coolest mask, huh? Maybe something.
Yeah, I know.
So
exactly.
I did see your video out at the Truck Yard riding your longboard. That was kind of cool.
That's just a teaser, man. The actual promo video that's coming out today is mint, man. The guys at Flux Media Productions that put that together did an awesome job.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's good. All right, got another great guest today. I've been talking to him a little bit backstage before we got this going, but go ahead and introduce him now, and we'll get him in here with us.
Yeah, so I'm excited about his name is Mark Vogel. He's with Clear Inspect. And so welcome, Mark.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Mark's got a really, he's unique to Real Producers because he's got a unique piece of technology that I'm going to let him explain to you 1,000 times better than me, but it's really cool. And if you're an agent, man, you might want to perk your ears up a little bit to hear what he has to say about his product. And I'm just excited to have him on the show, and so we can pick his brain a little bit, and he can tell us more about that. So thanks again for hopping on, Mark.
No, thanks for having me. And before we start, I'd like to say how much I've really enjoyed working with Jordan and Real Producers. I think it's been something that's been wonderful for Clear Inspect and anyone else who's out there looking to get in front of the real estate market. I think Real Producers is a great outlet to do that. So what we specialize on is home technology. So one of our products and services is we go into homes and we evaluate the home's technology. So not everyone knows what does this intercom on the wall do? How does this alarm system work? How do these cameras work? What can we do to make this 1970s home a 2020, 2021 home as far as technology? And maybe if there's a bunch of technology in the home, how do we transfer it from homeowner A to homeowner B? So this is something that we help people with as our service. Now, as a product, we have a digital assistant. So this digital assistant goes in the home and it allows real estate agents to duplicate themselves. You can't be everywhere at once. So if you have that one listing that you really want to get, or that one client you really want to impress, this digital assistant allows you to do that in a really unique way. So what we do is we load questions onto the digital assistant that you want people to know about the home, something that's not on the MLS, something that adds value and adds character to the home. Maybe it's a story of the people that live there. Maybe it's how it was built. There's anything you could want. It could be a trade. Maybe who do you recommend for lawn care, right? And then we get these questions. We put them inside the home next to the digital assistant, and then you get to ask the digital assistant any question you want. So for example, okay, home, tell me about the kitchen.
This kitchen is well equipped with premium appliances from brands like Sub-Zero and Wolf. Speakers in the ceiling of the nearby TV make this a great gathering space.
There we go. So again, anything unique about the home that you want to point out that you otherwise wouldn't be able to because you're not there when the buyer's agent and the new potential buyer walk the home, you can do that with this digital assistant.
Awesome. Mark, how'd you get hooked up and involved in all of that? What's your background as far as all the technology?
Sure. So I've been in the technology industry for about 15 years. We work with tons of home builders throughout North Texas, and we help them in that technology capacity. So I'm the guy that initially that you would walk a house with when you were building a new home and it was cannon box time, and you're in there with the electrician. We're talking about where chandeliers are going, where lights are going. Then you would follow up with me, and we're looking at TV placement locations. We're saying which rooms we want speakers in. We're saying if we want an intercom, how we can control that gate out front. So I've been in that technology location in the home, and I saw a huge disconnect between not only what the real estate agents know about this equipment, as well what the home inspectors know. So often people were getting into a home that had a ton of technology in it, and they didn't see the value in it. They didn't understand the value of it. Or the flip side is, wherever you have value, you also have a little bit of risk. So if some of this equipment was to break, where do I go to get it fixed? What do I do if my lighting control system goes down and I can't turn on any lights on and off inside the house? So while some of this technology is very, very handy and very useful, it can also be a point of frustration. So we come in as a clear view of technology and an unbiased opinion to tell people this is what you can do with technology in the home. And then, of course, to really help real estate agents, we came up with this digital assistant inside the home.
How much value is lost and opportunity is lost from a real estate agent that may not understand the technology and how to present that, or to have someone on their team that can present it? What are some challenges that the home seller may have, or the home buyer may have with a person that really doesn't understand all of the components that go into the digital technology of a home?
Wow, what a great question. There's so many layers in that. I think just like anything else, real estate industry is such a competitive market right now. I think anytime you can differentiate yourself, there's a great opportunity there, right? If you're able to set yourself apart from everyone else, I think there's a great opportunity. So there's some value lost there in just growing your brand, growing your business, and just the number of listings you can capture. Risk-wise, I think there is a little bit of risk. Jordan, you may know more about this than I do, but obviously if you have someone that's looking at buying a home, and there's a ton of technology inside of it, and maybe that new potential buyer isn't made aware of all the risks involved with the technology inside the home and what that means. And if one thing breaks, wow, that's a $30,000 bill to get that replaced. If they didn't know that up front buying the home, that there was that much risk involved. Look, if a washer dryer goes out, okay, everyone assumes this is what happens. But if one of these large controller goes out and you're spending $5,000 or $10,000 just to turn your lights back on, that could rub some people wrong. So there is some inherent risk in that. I'm not sure exactly how that falls on the listing agents, but we try to get in there up front and really tell everyone about the home, what risks are involved, what value is added, right? Of course, and then advise them on the path going forward.
Jordan, you got anything to add?
Well, I was going to ask him because Mark, actually, I didn't mention this, but Mark was recommended over to me by one of my good friends, Matt Brown, who we featured in our second issue ever of Real Producers. He was our rising star, total rock star. Well, he's way better at golf than I am, but someone I just love connecting with. And he was like, "Hey, you need to meet this guy. His name is Mark. You can clear inspect. He's got this thing," and he was just raving about it. And I was like, all right, so I got to meet this guy. And so I love what Mark's doing. I think it's innovative. And I'm curious, I wanted to ask him and have him share what you're hearing, Mark, from the agents that are hearing about this, that you get the opportunity to sit down and chat with about what this is. What's kind of the overall vibe? Like what's the energy around it?
Sure. So right now, and I'll use Matt as an example if that's okay. So right now with Matt, we're looking at a few different ways to help him with their sales and their CRM. So what we will do is we get them a few of these units. They put them inside any of their listings that are prime listings that they really want to move and get more information on. But we're also doing it with some of their builders in spec homes. So we will put this in, we attach it to the ceiling, and then when someone comes in, we have the list of questions there in the kitchen on the counter. So these are specs that are in open neighborhoods. People come in and out of them all the time. So whenever someone goes into them, they have someone in a sense in that unit, right? Just like a trained salesperson, every question, every answer, the first handful of questions are based on the home builder themselves. What is the culture? What is the community? What do they take pride in? What is their mission? The next is the community around it. Where's the nearest dog walking trail? Where's the nearest grocery store? How do I get to the airport from here? How long is it to downtown? And the last group of questions relates to the home itself. What's different about that home? What's the lot size? What are my internet providerships? What's the tile in the bathroom made of? What options do I have? What incentives are maybe available to the builder? And they can run those through. Now, we can also look and see what questions were asked. So if we know there's a showing, they can say, hey, someone came by today. What questions did they ask? So when they reach back out to that customer, great. We know exactly the main points of interest to them, and they can really target those points to make sure that the customer is getting all the information they need.
Oh, interesting. So if they ask a question that's not in the system, like is that what you're saying? Like they can actually like see that question was asked and then maybe add it to their repertoire of questions?
Correct. So if a question is asked that's not on the list, we will get a notification of it and we'll know that the question has been asked, that in a sense we had a failure, because the system is really programmed just to answer the questions that we put in. So anything beyond that, it's really a privacy device in the sense that it's not listening for other than the questions we're asking. You can't buy anything on it. You can't order anything on it. The listening feature isn't for the purpose of eavesdropping. It's simply to answer questions. But
hey,
it
Siri,
does have
put in a new pool.
Right. Exactly. So, but it does have a feature to try to help us get it. So for example, if someone says, like I asked about the kitchen, well, if it misunderstands kitchen and says kitten, well, we want to be able to correct that. So we would put that as an alias. So when they say, tell me about this kitchen or kitten, if it mishears it, then we know exactly what's happening. So we do get to go in and look at the reports and see where there's failures. And if we have people asking questions that aren't on the list, we can address that with the builder and say, hey, people are really interested in this. We should probably add this in as one of the questions.
That's cool.
Very cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
Mark, I know we talked a little bit about this, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but we talked a little bit about this before we got started. As far as home warranty goes, what are you seeing as far as some of this digital technology that's being covered by home warranty, or do you see that? Do you have access to that information? Or because I know we talked about solar, right? And I'm
Sure.
kind of familiar with solar, and I'll say this: as far as digital technology goes and solar goes, we're not going backwards. We're moving forward, and
Most
so it's not going away. It's gonna increase and improve. But for a lot of people that do appraisals and warranties, they're really unfamiliar with solar. Not everybody. There's some that have taken it upon themselves to be a leader in their industry and understanding, what they need to provide because they see where it's going. What about you? What about in the things that you're seeing, or are there things out there? Because you mentioned, a unit going out maybe $5,000 or $6,000 or maybe more. Where do we stand right now, collectively or as a whole, and having warranties and protections and things like that?
Sure. So we don't stand in a great spot. So there's just a really big gap in between the home technology installer, the builder, the homeowner, any listing agents, and then as well any home inspectors. So by and large, the listing agent, the buyer's agent, and the home inspector really punt when it comes to technology. I'm not going to say all of them. There's some that are out there that are good, but most of them don't know enough about it. Look, if they walk into a closet and the home inspector is doing an inspection and they see a bundle of wire this big around of data network wires in a big rack with a cooling fan and all the lights flashing on the network switches and a video distribution system, audio distribution system, they're going to look at it. Maybe they'll try to ascertain if it's hot in the room or not. I mean, that's probably one of the most important things. If it's really hot in there, I think anyone could figure out that there's a problem. But most likely they're just going to close the door and move on and say, look, that really doesn't pertain to me, right? But it's pretty darn important these days, right? Technology is becoming more and more interwoven into our lives. We have it on our phones. We have smart thermostats, smart light switches. We have automated garage door openers. We have automated locks. There's tons of things that are technology related that are inside of our homes now, and it's really permeating every part of our lives. So technology is very important. And especially when you get into premium homes, you know, there's a lot involved in it, not only just in the maintenance of it, but just switching it over from homeowner A to homeowner B. So I think we are pretty far behind, and mainly it's, have you ever heard the phrase, no good deed goes unpunished?
Yes.
I think there's a lot of that out there. I think maybe the home inspector knows a little bit about it, but maybe they're hesitant to say anything because they don't want to be wrong and then get themselves in the spot. I think that could also relate to the real estate agents. It's if they don't know everything about it, they really rather would not get involved in it. And that's where we're trying to find our niche with a lot of real estate agents to provide just an option for them. Look, if you don't know what this is, ask. That's one of the biggest things I always teach my kids. If you don't know, ask. And we're here to provide those answers. So all the way back, just circle back to it. Yes, I think we're not in a great state. I think there's a lot of technology out there that's either being undervalued when someone buys a home or neglected in the sense that they buy the home assuming everything's going to work, and then they get themselves in a situation where it doesn't.
What would your advice be to real estate agents out there that are interested in, I mean, where do we start? If I were a real estate agent, where would I start learning? Or if I'm a home inspector or whatever it may be, warranty, where would I start learning about not only where we are today already, but where we're going in the future? Because it's with technology, man, it's not like you learn something, you set back 6 years before it changes.
Sure.
You learn something in 6 months, it's changed already.
It has.
So where would we go?
That's an interesting question. So CEDIA is the association that really oversees everything that we do in the home integration business. That's CEDIA. Joe Whitaker, if you have anything to write down with, Joe Whitaker is on the board of directors at CEDIA, and he's a good friend of mine, but he's probably been the most active in trying to bridge this gap between builders, interior designers, decorators, real estate folks, and getting them more involved in technology. He's really pushing it all the way through. He's even trying to get, so at the Home Builder Show, everyone knows about the big national Home Builder Show. He's getting CEDIA more intertwined with the Home Builder Show. So we have a whole section for our industry within the Home Builder Show. He's also getting it to where there's a section for interior designers and decorators, architects, getting everyone involved in the technology much, much earlier on in the process. There's a lot of good resources if you go to CEDIA and find out, not just the show, but you can go to the website. There's a lot of good resources there to help in the learning. They even have a boot camp if you'd really want to learn about it for a short period of time. I think the real problem is just there's so much. I mean, just like anything else, I have 15 years in the industry. I know a lot of stuff because I've been in it so long. Some of it, it's just like the golf swing, like you're talking about with Matt. It just takes time. Like you have to be in it a lot for a long time to really learn about it. But you could get a good cursory bit of knowledge pretty quickly by checking out CEDIA. Go to one of your local custom integration companies, someone that does work with the local home builder. Or of course, that's why we're here. You could call Clear Inspect and we will help you out. Because so we use our connections at CEDIA to connect you with someone like myself in every state.
Absolutely.
In practically every city. So we leverage my connection with Joe and everyone else to where if you're buying a home in Montana, Yes, I have someone that I can get you in touch with up there that we recommend and trust that can go in there and do that inspection for you.
That's awesome that you said that. Obviously, with real producers being that ultra network of professionals that come together, and I mean, we all need resources, right? There's no way, and especially in your industry, I mean, it could be overwhelming and just consume a real estate agent or anyone else to try to keep up with technology so much that they may not be able to keep up with other things in there. But to have someone like you and be in a professional relationship with someone like you that is my go-to guy when I just don't know. I mean, I need to know enough to do enough, right? But I don't need to be an expert in it if I've got someone like you working with me.
Yeah, we get phone calls on everything.
There was a movie I remember when I was a kid. I think it was a Disney movie called I think it was called Smart Home. I don't know if you guys. I think that's what it was called. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it basically was like this super futuristic home with all the house would talk to all these things, and it ended up turning bad. It was kind of a poor plot, but that was like turned on the.
It's like HAL 9000.
Yeah,
sorry, Dave, I can't open that portal.
Yeah, but I'm curious.
Yeah, that's scary.
But do you, Mark, I mean, do you have any idea? I mean, as you look what homes are going to be like in 10, 15, 20, 30 years, I mean, is there any technology like that really stands out, or that it's going to be just way more common than is today? Is there like a progression? I mean, you're probably the person that knows more about than anyone I've talked to. And so I'm just curious if there's anything that, when we look at homes in the next couple decades, are we going to see, like for cars, or they may all be like flying in a few years, right? And self-driving. So it's like homes. What's the next kind of thing that we're going to see with homes? Is there something that stands out there?
There is, but you kind of have to temper it. So I'm going to answer your question by telling you about something else. So right now, if you're in the home TV market, so if you're looking to go buy a new TV, here's the spectrum scale. So here's 480 resolution, which is the TV that we had when we were a kid, when you turn the dial to UHF and went to channel 27. Okay. So 480. Then you have 720, which was the first iteration of HD TV. Then you have 1080i, which is an interlaced 1080. It's not a full native 1080p. Now you have 1080p, 4K, 8K. All right. So we have
8K now?
Yes. There's 8K projectors and TVs that are coming out. 99.9% of what you watch is still 1080i. All right. If you turn on your satellite box or your cable set-top box, if you're streaming, sometimes you can get some 4K stuff. But we're not even to 1080p all the time.
Some of the camera shooting it, right, is only 1080. Is that what the issue, right? It's the device that's shooting the picture.
For example, the software that I use for this will shoot in 1080p, but Facebook does not broadcast in 1080p, so it really is irrelevant.
So yes, we get lots of choke points. So it can be filmed by the director in a really high resolution, but if your set-top box from Dish or DirecTV or AT&T Uverse or Comcast, whoever you're using, Spectrum, don't put out that resolution, then what does it matter, right? So TV manufacturers are so far ahead of what the content is. You have people buying TVs that, okay, I have an 8K TV. I can watch 3 movies like on the planet. Only there's like 3 movies on the planet. And I may be over exaggerating that. There's maybe more than 3, but there's not many, right? There's not a lot of content for that resolution point.
So I spent an extra $15 to get a 4K Fire Stick compared to a regular Fire Stick. Did I waste my money there, you think? Or was that a progressive move?
Stuff like that's fine. But, when someone walks in and maybe there's a 1080p display that's half the price of a 4K display, I mean, are you going to see a lot of difference? What's the lifespan of a display? How long are you going to have it anyway? 3 years? Okay.
Sure. So
again, we're so far ahead. Now let's flip that back and let's talk about it in the home technology. There's tons of great home technology. I think it's all going to come out very quickly. I think you're going to see a lot of it in the premium homes, just like you did with like backup cameras in Mercedes and BMWs hit before they hit in the Kias, right? Eventually, everyone adopts them, but you hit the higher end product first. So we're going to see a lot more voice control. Where's that? There we go. A lot more voice control. You're going to see a lot of lighting control. Lighting control is going to be, I think, a really, really big deal. There's going to be a lot of video distribution. So in a sense, you don't have a satellite box per TV. You have one per person. So wherever you go in the home, you say, watch Mark's satellite. There it is. I go in the other room, watch Mark's satellite. There it is. You're feeding off the same box. So if you have 3 people in the home with 10 TVs, you get 3 satellite boxes. You go to your room, you say you want to watch it. There it is. You don't need a box for every TV. Same kind of thing if you were still watching a DVD player, for example. I do this with my kids. You pop in a DVD. My kids are watching it in the living room. I come in. I want to watch a football game. Hey, kids, go upstairs. Well, I don't have to eject the DVD, walk upstairs, put in the other DVD player, put it in, go through all like the previews, the Disney previews or whatever they have. You have to go through all that. Finally get it to like the exact moment. It can't be 5 seconds previous or 5 seconds. They want it like the exact second and then go downstairs. I press pause on the DVD player in the living room, walk upstairs, press watch DVD, same DVD player. It's just paused, press play, go down the living room, watch my show. Or if I'm wondering what they're doing upstairs, I could say, what are those kids doing upstairs? Watch DVD. Oh, okay. Yeah. They're watching Toy Story, whatever it is. It's a really easy way to just send video and audio throughout the house. Cool. But to go back, I think lighting control is going to be really big. I think voice automation is going to be really big. Eventually, display wise, I think we're going to get into holograms. I think your TVs aren't going to be TVs. They're going to be they're going to be white spaces. They're going to be glass. You're going to have a piece of glass in the middle of the room that just looks clear. You wipe it down, you press it. It's a live display.
Wow.
But it's just normal clear glass, right? Just cleaning up the aesthetic within the home. You're not going to have in the kitchen, you're not going to have a bank of 8 light switches for every little thing. You're going to have one keypad that's going to control all the lights, or you'll do it by voice. So
I'm looking forward to the hologram, man. That's going to be a fun day.
Oh, yeah, no, certainly. No, you're going to be able to walk in or around your displays. That's further down the road. The glass I just told you about, that's already something that we've seen live. That it's not very many homes, but it's something that's already out and in service.
So can you see behind, like if you have the hologram glass like in the middle of your room, can you see the
right
wall?
through it? Yeah.
Even when it's playing though, like, you know what I mean? Like when it's playing something.
No. Once it starts playing, it becomes opaque. You can't see through it.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Mark, I was going to ask you, what inspired you with this new piece of technology that you created? And I mean, we're on like month 2 or so of you really kind of distributing it out and everything. And what inspired you to create it?
Sure. So really, again, I think it just goes back to filling that void, that need that we saw, to where there's not enough information for real estate agents within a certain space. They're not getting enough support. They don't have the knowledge all the time of the home whenever they get into it. Look, I mean, the buyer's agent wants someone to buy the house just as much as the seller's agent wants to sell it. So if the buyer's agent walks into a home and there's way more information about that home that ends up leading that customer to getting the home they want or getting the information that they want about a home, the buyer's agent is thrilled. The seller's agent's thrilled. The new buyer, everyone's happy all the way around. So if we can impart more information, that's extremely helpful, because it's not just what's on the MLS list, right? You know, we've got some agents that I talked to that said, look, we have a listing that's an hour and a half away. I can't get there in time if someone, has a question about it. And the buyer's agent walks them. A lot of times people just don't want to know about the home. They want to know who lived there before. Were they married? Did they have kids? How long do they live there? Why are they leaving? Did he get a new job? They want to know the story about it. Everything we have in our culture right now is knowing someone's story, knowing the story about a product, knowing the story about someone's life. It's very story detailed, right? Everything's very dense. So if we can get more information for them, just the story of the home, that can help someone complete the sale.
Well, how great is that too? Go ahead, Jordan.
I was gonna say, yeah, you don't want to go move into a home that's got bad energy, you know?
Right.
And how great is that also, that for a real estate agent that may not understand the technology, to have something right there that can explain it to
Sure.
everybody.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Mark, how long were you thinking about this idea before you actualized it? Was it a couple of years? You know, to tell us a little bit about that.
No, I mean, it came on pretty quickly. So we've partnered with another company to actually get this device, right? So this is a unit from Josh AI, which is a home integration company. They're based in California, and they've been really great. So they go through and they use these units inside homes, just like I talked about, for voice control. So when you walk into the home, you can tell it to turn on your TV, go to Yellowstone, you know, whatever show you're watching, turn on lights. It's a great point of automation for the home. And really what we did is found a new use case for it, to where we could go in and create value for the real estate industry.
It's great. I love it.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
So what, do you have anything else that you are working on as far as clear and spec goes, to or just working on perfecting that even more, or what's next for you, Mark?
Sure. So right now we're focusing on our home inspection and our digital assistant that I just tapped. That's another way you can do it too. You don't have to say the OK home as the wake word. You could actually just tap the top of it. So those are the main two things that we're focusing on right now. And look, I still stay very active in CEDIA. We still have our home integration business. I truly believe that when you're doing something in technology, you have to stay active in technology to be in the front of it. Right. I couldn't have this business and just completely walk away from the home technology business, because I would lose sight of what's new, just like we talked about before. It's really hard to keep up with. And if you have to keep up with it because you have a business involved in it, you're a lot more knowledgeable of it. And we don't want to lose sight of what's in front of us.
So what's some of the...
Oh, go ahead, Lendon. Go ahead.
No, you go, Jordan. Mine's not that important.
I was just going to make sure, if you have another question to ask him, I just want to make sure before we go that for anyone who's listening again, I want to see Mark give the OK Google another run, just so people can see it one more time. So
let me see what question could I ask here. Okay. OK home. How many rooms have speakers?
The patio, master bedroom, kitchen and media room all have speakers. The living and master bath are also wired for speakers.
There you go.
That's three.
He's got kind of a British accent, doesn't he?
Yeah. He does. So there's several dialects that we have to offer. I think I like that one the best. It sounds kind of cool. But also the cadence of it is actually the most steady of all the dialects we have. So that's the one I use the most.
And you have, I don't think we talked about, you have like promptings around OK Google, like that device when someone walks into the home, whether it's like something that surrounds it so people can know what types of questions to ask, and like you have kind of different setups for that, displays for that, right?
Sure. So depending on the environment, if it's a spec, for example, we could have a much larger plaque that's on the wall that in a sense introduces the device to the guest. And if it's just a more basic one, we could have something like this, where it just introduces them to him and says, hi, I'm your digital assistant. And then we have a list of questions right here that they could just run down. Yep. And then again, we keep track of those questions. We don't know who asked them, but we know how many questions were asked, which questions were asked, to really help the builder or the listing agent know where the interest is.
That's cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, fellas, we're about out of time for this show. Mark, that's very interesting stuff. I definitely want to talk to you more about it, and anything I can do to help to get what you're doing out there. I'd love to introduce you to other people, because as I said, I never knew what you're doing, but I do know and understand kind of where the solar is going and the disconnect there with the real estate industry. And
Very similar. Yes,
it
sir.
is. It's very similar, and it can be daunting. We all have so much to learn in our own respective industries. It can be a daunting task to try to keep. I mean, I can't even keep up with technology to run my own live. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out my cell phone. So I think for a lot of us, when we start talking about electronics, I mean, electricity, electronics for a lot of us was like you said about the inspector that hits the closet. It's like, dude, I'm going to pretend like I didn't even see that, and I'm going to move on. But it's like I said, it's not going away. We better get used to it.
There's only going to get more of it, and it's only going to get more dense. And there's going to be a lot. The main problem I think that ends up happening is you get so many different brands, you get so many different competing products, and it's really hard to be an expert at all of them.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're all going to look fairly similar, right? I mean, it's all thermostats look like a thermostat. So yeah, I think when you start to get through it, that they're all, a lot of solar panels look the same. If you just drove by the street and said, "Hey, what brand is that?" I don't know.
Yeah.
No. Thanks for bringing that. That's a great analog for this in the sense, because really what we're doing, you could duplicate in a lot of other industries, right? Especially as it relates. I think solar is a perfect example of somewhere someone could offer themselves to go through and help people as they're buying a home, either ascertain whether or not solar would be a great option for them in that home, or to maintain or evaluate the solar on the existing home. Because by and large, your sticks and bricks home inspectors is going to punt, right? And I don't blame them at all.
Well, and you made another great point when you talked about the things that can the risks, the things that can go wrong. I mean, usually when we see all of these shiny bells and whistles, we think of how cool it is. We don't think about what it's like when it doesn't work. And now what? Do I scrap the whole thing? How much does it cost to replace? Who do I even go to start, evaluating what is wrong? We have the good stuff down, and but life is not always that way, right? Sometimes we have to fix things. So,
certainly.
Well, Mark, thanks for sharing so much about you.
Thank you.
Your company. Again, I definitely want to stay in touch with you, and because I know a lot of people that need to be introduced to you. They really do. So, Jordan, I'm going to let you wrap up with Mark, and then close us out, and we'll be back again on this Real Producer Show live again next week, every week.
That's right, 11 o'clock. Well, thank you, Lendon, again. I mean, as always, man, for putting this together. And I love, the innovations and different things you're trying to do to make sure that we're getting more exposure to as many people as possible. So appreciate you and all that you do, and for helping put this together and being a great partner of North DFW Real Producers. So thank you, first of all, Lendon. And then Mark, man, thanks again for hopping on and sharing a bit about what you do. Lastly, before we cut out, Mark, I know we have it scrolling on the screen, but if an agent or anybody wants to hear more about what you do and how they can find out more, what's best contact number, best way to reach you?
Sure. They can go to www.clear-inspect.com. You'll find our home inspection tab there. At the top, you could also click on the Clear AI tab. That'll get us to our digital assistant. And you know what? If they want to reach me directly, I'll even give you my direct number, which is 817-360-7255.
Oh, 817. Okay, we got 818 on the screen. So don't type 818, type in 817. That'll be the correct number to reach
that
Mark.
Is.
So,
yeah.
Well, awesome, man. Well, like I said, thanks again for hopping on. Thanks
thanks for having me.
Thanks for being a partner and sharing people a bit about what you're up to. And I look forward to seeing you at our next event in 4 weeks from today. And so make sure to get your ticket. I'll make sure you get your invite so you can get registered, and look forward to seeing you there. And so thanks again. And for everyone listening, every Thursday at 11 o'clock, we are here. And so we'll have another great partner on next week. And you guys have a good rest of the week and weekend. Thank y'all. Bye.
See you.
The Difference is a proud supporter of the following nonprofits. Creek and Timber Legacy, providing outdoor learning, hunting, and firearm therapy for veterans, first responders, and children with serious illness. You can find more info at creekandtimberlegacy.org. And Sharp Shoes. Through local schools and shelters, Sharp Shoes helps provide new shoes for countless needy people and their families. You can find more info at sharpshoes.org.